more questions about than answers. I'd like to start that way and just ask, a show of hands, how many people pray on a regular basis? 4 or 5 people.
That's all.
We all should be praying. Okay, so
Very hard if it's not working.
So I want to ask it this way: how many people pray when it feels like, oh my gosh, I need some real help right now? Does anybody pray these kind of prayers? Oh God, please help me. Like those foxhole prayers that we talk about. I think there is that tendency. I'm not sure what I think about prayer, but I will share some of my thoughts. And I'll also say this up front: people I know that pray on a regular basis swear by it, and have told me the only people that don't believe prayer is effective is the ones that don't do it. And I try, and then I forget, and I try, and I forget, and then, the control subject is really out of whack there, so I'm not sure. One of the reasons I get a little stuck, and it really kind of brings into this whole much bigger question of what do we mean when we say the word God? Because I have a difficult time thinking that we appeal to an all-powerful, invisible sky being that then magically produces things here for us. Maybe that's exactly how it works. An all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving God prepared to intervene on our behalf. But I get stuck when I think about 3 families sitting there in the Vanderbilt emergency room, and 3 moms are in the rooms, 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, and there's a dad and children in front of each room, and they're all praying as hard as they can for mom to make it through the night, and 2 of them do, and 1 doesn't. And that's where I get stuck, because I don't understand, if it does work, why that one didn't. And I've concluded what works best for me is some things we don't understand and things are just random. Like I had a person say to me, I'm really mad at God. I don't understand why God would do this. Well, tell me about it. We just had a great family vacation in Gatlinburg. My dad, my mom, my sister and I, we had a great time. We came home. We had a wonderful week together. My parents were laughing. My brother and I, our sister and I were getting along. And we come home to Nashville, and we're driving by, going to my grandmother's house to pick up her dog. The wind blew a tree over and killed my parents. My kid. They said, how did that happen? How could God make that happen? And my only response to that person was, I think that's how it works.
Wow, that's a shock, though.
It's shocking. But for someone to carry that at the time, they were 10 or 11 years old, that somehow either their parents had done something wrong and were being punished, or that it was a lesson for everybody. How does that work? I can't explain that other than, why don't we just sit in the fact that some things are unexplainable and random? And if that's the case, then it brings in the question again about prayer. If you Google types of prayer, you get a couple of different, you get a whole bunch of different opportunities to kind of explore it. But what I've been taught are there 4 basic kinds. That prayer of adoration. You see people with their hands out like this, looking up at the sky and singing and praising. Prayers of adoration. Way back when, they were probably associated with burnt offerings, which we don't do anymore. Well, maybe when Richard grills. we might have something like that going on when I grill, for sure.
And sage.
And
People
sage.
still do that, yeah.
Another burnt offering. But that adoration. And then the other one that they talk about is confession. So you got prayers of adoration, prayers of confession. where in my solitude and silence, I'm connecting to that which is bigger than me and saying, I confess that I could have done this better. I should have done this. I wish I hadn't. But that prayer of confession, prayer of thanksgiving, to sit in silence and just be present and thankful and practice gratitude in all we do. But that time where we sit in discipline and try to make conscious contact with that which is bigger than we are, and just say, I feel very grateful to be here, and I feel grateful for the gifts that I enjoy every day. Because most of us take our gifts for granted. And this is a way for us to kind of remember to be thankful. That's the third type prayer. So adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and then prayers of supplication or petition. Please, grant me this. And that's another place I've always felt a little bit uneasy about prayer. A friend of mine in dip school called that the red bike prayer. That please give me this, please give me this, please give me this. And I know many of you have heard me share this story, but it's always worth telling again. For the opportunity to work with the comic Emo Phillips. I've heard me tell the story before. But Emo said he grew up Catholic in Chicago, and he was praying for a bike, and praying for a bike, and praying for a bike, and he never got one. And he went to see his priest, and his priest explained he wasn't doing it right. So Emo said he went home and stole a bike, and then prayed for forgiveness. That's kind of a popular way, I think, of praying. But petition, prayers of petition. And I would like to add another one, which is prayers of intercession. If someone is ill that I care about, that I pray for somehow that person to be healed, or that person receives some protection or gift. So adoration, confession, thanksgiving, prayers of petition or supplication, and then interceding into this world. Again, I'm not sure what I think about this. And I have some problems with some of the prayers I hear. When we think about the Our Father who art in heaven prayer, that's so very common here at 12-step meetings all over the place. When you hear that prayer, is probably like the default main prayer most Christian churches are going to hear. From the very beginning, it draws in a question of geography for me. And patriarchy. But our Father who art in heaven, exactly where is that? Because it creates this space that may or may not exist. Because if you think about when that prayer was first spoken, there was not a great deal of understanding of space and how deep and wide, the old Baptist song I used to do, deep and wide, but the vastness of the universe and all the galaxies and the galaxies and the galaxies and the solar systems and the on and on and on. Exactly where is heaven? Because I think for the people that first understood that prayer, heaven was right on the other side of the blue sky. Or right just on the other side of the stars that they could see in front of them.
The side.
Yeah.
There's a side.
Right. Yeah. Just on the other side. So where is God? I think Annie Lamott, one of my favorite writers, is helpful. She's devoutly Christian, but also is very open about her 30 years worth of recovery, 12-step recovery. And she blends 12-step spirituality and her Christianity together in a way that I find very appealing. And that was the name of one of her books, Help, suppose, is the three most powerful prayers any of us can ever utter. Help. The moment I say help, it changes me. Because I then approach my life with some humility that I otherwise don't have when I think I've got everything under control and I can figure it out. Not to have to be a foxhole prayer, but just the idea that I need help. If I begin every day with the notion, I need help, I'm going to do my best. But my life works best when other people are helping me along the way. So that admission as a prayer, help, changes the way I start my day. So also is the prayer, does the prayer, thanks. Because I can wake up and start ticking off all the things I need to get done, all the things that I'm still kind of irritated about from the day before, look around my room, all the things I didn't get done the way I was supposed to get done, go down to the kitchen, look at the kitchen, see all the things that, and I can just start having a bad day before 7:30. Because I forget to just sit in the moment, and I feel grateful that I have children who love me, and I have friends, and I have a job, and I have a home, I've got a roof, I have a car. So that prayer, thanks, is also centering for me and reminds me that I need to be present and grateful for all the amazing gifts I've received, even when I forget. And then, wow. I was thinking about it. I don't understand prayer. I also don't understand GPS. I don't know how I can be driving down to take Grace to camp a couple weeks ago, and on my phone, I'm looking at a map that shows a dot getting closer and closer and closer to the state of Alabama state line, and then I look at it, and it is crossing the line precisely as I look over here, and it says, "Welcome to Alabama." All the pinging going on to keep up with me is beyond my comprehension. All the data swimming around that I'm walking through and bouncing off of things I don't get. It's amazing. Wow. To think that when I was a kid, Dick Tracy used to talk into a phone on his wrist, and it seems like we're getting pretty close to that. And when I was a kid, flying cars or something that were beyond comprehension. And so were a lot of other things. I can remember sitting with my uncle who was visiting us from North Carolina and watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. It's pretty amazing when you think about all the things that have changed just in my little lifetime since being born in 1955. I know for some people I as well said 1855 when I said that. But a lot has changed in our lifetimes. Amazing things. The internet and what that's done, and computing. And now we've got electric cars, and we've got the possibility of solar panels and solar energy and wind. It just, when you start to think about all the things that are going on around us, what else can you say but wow? And maybe, oh no. But wow. Help, thanks, wow, or Amy Lamont's prayers. I would like to add two words. Because the prayer that makes the most sense to me, the prayer that I'm most comfortable in my silence expressing, is please remove the bondage of self. Please help me get out of the way of whatever is going on around me. And followed quickly by, so I can be of maximum service. I guess in a way that's a prayer of intercession.
To yourself, too.
But to remember to be thankful, to remember to be in awe, to remember to ask for help. And then the prayer I find easiest to sit in, reflect on, is please remove the bondage of all my thoughts, the way I think the world should be, the way I get in my own way, the way I get in other people's way. Please get me out of the way. And when I get all of my stuff out of the way, please use me as a conduit for whatever this is that I don't quite understand. Whatever this is that I don't quite understand, but I do believe is around us and working through us. How? I don't know.
Energy.
People who believe. Maybe prayer is more a way of life. And I loved when we used to sing that song, Our Thoughts Are Prayers. Because in a way, what else is there that we have to offer to show that we're trying to live aligned with spiritual principles, but the way we think and act? Maybe prayer is more a way of life. And when we ask for help, we're practicing humility. And when we say thanks, we're practicing gratitude and appreciation. And when we say, wow, we're admitting this is a pretty amazing life. And it was all just waiting for me here when I showed up. To be of service, to feel connected one to the other, to fully be present in gratitude and service. What more could we want out of our lives, really? And in the end, maybe prayer is more a way of life, but also it's the fact that maybe our prayers don't change the way God intervenes in the world, the way the world unfolds. Maybe prayer is designed to change us. Maybe in that silence, in solitude, when I say, help, thanks, wow, help me get out of the way and please use me for service, something is going on inside of me that changes my internal world